All right, and hello everybody, I'm the Super 27, and welcome to another movie review. Now, we are going to be going over the brand new Fnaf 2 movie that just came out in theaters. I actually saw it today. I am recording this about 12 hours removed from my initial seeing. So, this entire video is going to be broken up into multiple parts, so there is going to be a spoil-free review right here at the start. We're going to go over an entire film recap. We're going to go over how I kind of felt about the film. We're going to go over the lore implications of the entire game series that maybe this film could like correlate to or suggest to, tied in with the books anywhere that we can, and then just have an overall summary of how I feel about everything. So there will be timestamps in the description, so you can go to whichever section fits you best. I will try my very best to make sure that absolutely no one gets spoiled before going in. I'm gonna make it very clear when I'm talking about what actually happens in the film and what doesn't. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so this right here is going to just be a short, sweet little summary or review, I would suppose, that is completely spoiler-free. So if you have not seen the film yet and you're going to go see the film, don't worry, you're going to be good. This film, it is very different from the first film. I feel like Scott really did listen a lot to some of the criticism, some of the backlash of the first film, which is good. It's always good when you listen to, community feedback, group feedback, you're actually willing to change your vision for your chosen demographic. I do think that's good, and I think that's very noble in a lot of ways. However, I feel like there were some changes that went way too far away. The first film, I would say, kind of leaned more so into, like, the fun, campy, sort of, like, strange, wacky humor that Scott is known for. It was very not security breach, it was very sister location humor. There's those wacky scenes. You have the animatronics building the fort. You have all those, like, fun little, just, like, weird, wacky things. And a lot of people complained when the first movie came out that it was nothing like the games, Michael wasn't really doing anything in his office. He wasn't having to close doors or whatever. There weren't any real altercations with the animatronics. The film really wasn't that scary or gory in any way. And this film, it is, I would say, significantly different in terms of tone and style. This one is actually pretty creepy and unsettling at a couple of times. There are some, like, imagery, and there are a couple of moments that are actually tense. There are some scenarios that are much more, like, horror movie-esque. Like how in the first movie there was the scene where Max's boyfriend and gang, like, broke into the pizzeria, and that scene really only served to be, like, the horror trope genre sort of stereotypes or whatever. There are a lot more moments like that in this film where there are scenes that just exist to be scary, that just exist to create suspense, create tension, to add kills to the movie. So there is a lot of that. And because of that, I feel like there is some humor that kind of gets taken away as a result to put more emphasis on the horror. There are also a couple of elements of the film that I feel were implemented pretty clunkily, trying to relate more towards the games and other pre-established lore, where I feel like the movie should just kind of be their own thing. They shouldn't really try to appease the book fans or the game fans, because it leads to some awkward situations that, again, if you see the film, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that there are things that are just awkward. In terms of acting, the acting is pretty good. Again, I would probably say the knockout performance is still Piper Rubio, who plays Abby. She's just so charismatic. She's so fun to watch in pretty much every single scene in the entire film. The special effects with the animatronics are amazing. It's always really hard to tell when something is like a person in a suit, an actual animatronic. I don't know if they use CGI in this film. I would imagine they did. Well, I know they did for characters like Mangle and such, but there are a few things that, like, it's kind of hard to tell. It's really, really fun. The movie's only an hour 44 minutes. It doesn't really overstay its welcome. It's pretty fun the entire way through. It's interesting the entire way through. There are a couple of again, there are some growing pains, you could say, and it's almost as if this movie is trying to pull an Avengers, if you know what I mean. But overall, I enjoyed it. Again, I do think it's very different to the first film. So if you loved the first movie and you're hoping just to see another movie in the same style, in the same vein, I would maybe be hesitant or kind of have your expectations set a little bit differently. This is again, very different movie in terms of tone, style, direction, even the humor, I would argue, is a little bit more different. But it's still full of love for the entire community. There are cameos, there are Easter eggs, lots of people in the community, like big figureheads. Obviously, the one I feel like a lot of people would know would be Matt Pat as Toy Bonnie. There's plenty of stuff like that. So it is still fun as a fan. So if you're a fan of the franchise, I would recommend going to go see it in theaters, help boost the box offices. That way, whenever the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 27th film in this series get made, they're just going to have a bigger and bigger budget because they know what they are making is something that we love and that this is actually a good video game adaptation. And this is how, listen to your community when you make movies and don't just do like what the recent Borderlands movie did. All right, we are officially starting the film recap section of this review. So, this is going to be your final warning. If you have not seen the film, if you do not want to be spoiled, click off of the video right now, go watch it, and then you can come back and listen to the rest of the video then. All right, ready? Is everyone cool? 3, 2, 1. All right, so this film, it starts off with the Blumhouse intro because, it's a Blumhouse film. And it actually starts off with a really kind of cool and fun scene where it takes place at a birthday party at the original Freddy's, which in this case is the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 location. And Matthew Lillard, he is announcing to this group of children, the countdown for the show to begin. And it's kind of fun, it kind of takes you back to when you were a kid and you were at any of these establishments and kind of having fun and getting to have all these hype things. I don't know. It's kind of cool to see that be reflected. And we have two kind of children protagonists right here at the start. One named Charlotte, assumedly Charlotte Emily. I'm actually looking right now if I can see on her, let's see, the IMDb. I'm trying to see if her full character name is listed. It actually appears no. She is just named Charlotte. Interesting. All right. So, nevertheless, we have Charlotte and a young Vanessa, actually. They're friends, and Charlotte is kind of sitting sad in front of the show stage where there's a trap door. And Vanessa goes, "Hey, I know every time you're here, you wait for whatever to come out of this hole, but whatever's in there, it's not your parent, it's not your guardian, it's not going to come save you. What if instead you come hang out with us? We eat some pizza, we eat some cake. Let's actually enjoy the party." And then Charlotte goes, "Well, the thing down there is the only thing that I can really trust and rely on. It's the only one who's always there for me." And I feel like that is kind of an interesting plot point that doesn't really get addressed super heavy in the film. Because that right there, that is themes of child neglect, potentially familiar abuse. There could be a lot of different things going on in that situation that we don't get to really see a lot of or get any. There is a little bit later on in the film, but I don't know. I just felt like that was kind of a heavy thing to throw in right at the front that potentially doesn't really go anywhere. So Charlotte eventually she ends up joining the rest of the crew. They're having fun or whatever. But no one at the party is really talking with her, so she's just kind of, glancing off in the distance, doing her own thing. And that's when she notices a little boy getting lured into the back rooms by the Golden Rabbit suit. She runs to a bunch of different adults trying to get help. She's going, she goes, there's a boy, he's getting kidnapped. I need help. I need someone to come help me. And every single adult she turns to just doesn't help her. They disregard her. They tell her to go away. They say that, adults are talking, blah, 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 blah. So Charlotte decides, she's like, all right, I gotta go do something myself. And before she runs to the back room, Vanessa grabs her arm and she's like, Charlotte, please don't. But, she ignores her and she runs in anyway. to where we go to this back room, and there's this short little tent scene where Matthew Lillard, in the Golden Rabbit suit, he's cleaning a knife or he's cleaning something, and there is an unconscious boy, the same who just got kidnapped. He's on the back floor. He's just knocked out, assumedly knocked out. I guess the character's fate is never like actually determined in the scene. But Charlotte sneaks past the yellow rabbit. She picks up the boy and she just runs to the nearest door that she can see. And meanwhile, the yellow rabbit grabs a knife and chases after her. The door that she ends up running out of is the Kids Cove, like, Pirate Foxy curtain. And she runs out, she's holding the boy, and the only thing she can do in that moment is scream. And it draws the attention of absolutely every single person in the pizzeria. This is when she then drops dead, actually. She got stabbed 3 separate times in the back. Which, you know, that's a hell of a way to start a movie, you know? We got to actually, like, witness a kid murder in a canon piece of Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. Like, this is kind of like when you play Into the Pit, and that's the first time we see, like, actual realistic gore with, like, the road-killed possum, you know? So there is a little bit, you know, for the people who miss the old days of FNAF when it was less kid-friendly. It definitely is still, you know, a lot more kid-friendly than I feel like a lot of the community would wish, but there are still some of those gnarly moments, or still some of those, like, Jesus Christ, it's a little bit of the old days of FNAF showing through. So, Charlotte collapses, actually on the trap door. And the trap door drops, and there's all these gears and whistles that start, you know, whirring and doing their thing. And the puppet emerges, actually holding Charlotte in its arms. And it's usually, like, its face looks resentful. You know, it looks upset in the moment. And then that's when it cues into the credits, the opening credits. And the opening credits, they're very similar in style and tone towards the first film, where there's the, like, 16-bit fun animations. There's a remix of the first film's original theme, which is like a that samples the Tetris theme that we played at the very start of this video. So, you know, that's fun, but it's actually intermingled, or interwoven, I suppose is the right word, with a bunch of news articles, something that, again, is very FNAF 1 through 3-ish, where it talks about how Freddy's was able to kind of sweep the murder of Charlotte under the rug. They closed down that original location, they turned it into a bigger franchise with a bunch of different locations, they rebranded what the animatronics looked like, they claimed that the little girl who was killed, she actually wasn't murdered, she went into a restricted area, got hurt, and blah blah blah. Everything was able to get swept under the rug. So, I mean, that was a pretty, like, fun way to open the film, I would say, at least. And then after the credits, we load into, like, Vanessa waking up from having this really strange, ethereal-esque dream, because Mike is calling her. And, you know, they're talking a little bit, and they're kind of flirting a little bit, except maybe not really. You know, it's that it's like stereotypical whatever, friends to lovers, but like neither one of them want to accept it sort of thing. So Mike and Abby have moved into a new place. Abby's going to a new school. The aunt from the first film actually didn't die. They're painting their new house, and Mike is calling just to confirm that they're still good for their friend date dinner thing that night. So Abby actually ends up overhearing this conversation. She goes, "Have you kissed her yet? When are you going to kiss her? Is this a date? Is it not a date?" You know, it's just kind of that fun sort of dialogue that's kind of a little bit more of exposition than realistic dialogue, but again, Abby's actress just really, like, makes everything feel natural, feel fun, feel realistic, so I really do enjoy that. Abby then goes off to school, and then while Mike is painting his house, that's where they start talking about a couple of things with what was the name of his co-worker in the first film. Is he on the IMDb? It doesn't appear to be. But nevertheless, the security guard friend who Mike read Dream Theory with, actually, he's the one who comes over. You know, they're talking about how the aunt actually, again, survives the first film. And she starts these town stories about how an animatronic came in and attacked her. And a lot of people just thought she was hysteric. But because of that, FazFest has now spawned a festival that is happening in their local town. The co-worker says that Vanessa's got these crazy eyes and that, you know, he doesn't really think Vanessa and Mike are very good together. And Mike, he just goes like, look, can we just cut all this? You know, we're trying to move on. We're trying to heal. Just between you and I, let's keep this between us. We don't need to know, or like no one needs to know that Abby is connected to my aunt. She's gone through enough stress. She's gone through enough changes, trauma. Let's just leave her be. And then it hard cuts to her, to Abby on a school bus talking about like 6 or 7 kids, recapping the climax of the last film. And, you know, some kids think she's crazy. But there's this one little boy who's actually pretty sweet. And he says something along the lines where it's like, well, I believe in aliens and ghosts. Why wouldn't I believe in haunted animatronics? And that's, you know, that's actually pretty sweet. So Abby makes a friend, like a genuine friend. And we then go to her robotics class, where she's building just this tiny little guy. She's having a couple of difficulties. And this is where I was a little confused by the tone. So, Mr. Berg is the character name, according to IMDb, played by Wayne Knight. And he, at first, I thought he was going to kind of be a character from adjacent to He Told Me Everything, the Fazbear Frights story. But he, I don't know, I couldn't get his vibe. So again, they're in a robotics class, right? And Abby has already created a tiny little robot guy. Now, granted, it's nothing spectacular, but there's effort put into it. And Mr. Berg goes, hey, look, Abby, I saw that you signed up for the science fair, but we're on a 3-year winning streak of winning the science fair, which is like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? It's a science. What do you mean you're on a 3-year win streak of winning the science fair? Like, your class won the science fair? Are there other schools going here? How would her signing up is, unless it's like cumulative points, okay? But I feel like having 1 point is better than having no, you know, again, it was a weird little thing that I couldn't really wrap my head around it. It gets brought up multiple other times throughout the film, so that's why I bring it up. It's just a weird character motivation, and it's kind of how it's like put into the plot of the film is a little clunky in my opinion, but yeah. Mr. Berg, he's like, listen, Abby, I don't want you in the science fair. But then the friend that Abby makes goes, don't worry, Mr. Berg is hard on everyone. And I get so confused here. So she already has this, again, she has like a little doodad that she's already working on. But this is the first time she's talked to this kid. So is this her first day of school? If it's her first day of school, how did she already sign up for a science fair with a project that she's already put effort into, so much so that her teacher would already know that her project's gonna suck enough so that they would lose the science fair? I don't know, they made a joke about otters in the middle of there somewhere. I don't know, it felt a little bit weird. But after she gets a little bit sad, the same friend that she made on the bus goes, hey, don't be upset, he's hard on everyone. And then he brings up something that is very relevant to the plot. And I forgot to mention this a moment ago. So before Abby leaves, she and Mike are talking a little bit. And it gets brought up that she wants to meet the animatronics again. She wants to hang out with her friends. And Mike promises her that one day he'll go to the pizzeria and fix them because they got destroyed. And it's just about finding time. And then this is where the boy, looking at the little robot that Abby has built, clearly seeing that she has some talent, goes, well, I don't see why you have to wait for your brother to fix the animatronics. Why don't you just go over there and fix your friends? So it cuts to Abby coming home from school, and Mike getting ready for his date. And Mike, he really is like a sweet brother character. I like seeing Josh Hutcherson, his like entire, I don't know, he's a very entertaining character to see when it comes to like a character who has a lot of family turmoil. In like the first film, the entire time, he's kind of like this lost person. He's about to lose his house. He's about to lose his sister. He's just trying so hard to get his other brother back. He lost his mom. His dad left when the mom passed away. His aunt hates him. So he has a lot of trauma when it comes to his family, and I feel like it really shows through that he needs to have that sense of family, that sense of comfort, and he's willing to do a lot of things to kind of maintain that. He's very sweet in this entire movie. He's very protective of Abby, and again, it's fun to see how his character has kind of evolved. And now that he's no longer like focusing primarily on Garrett, especially after he like gave away Abby in the first film and realized that it was a mistake, it's really sweet to see him and all the different changes that he does to accommodate her and make a family, be like a brother and a parental figure. Very fun, very sweet. So he's getting ready, and he has Abby tie his tie for him, and they're just having like fun little dialogue. He leaves her $20 for pizza, and on the way out, Abby goes, "Hey, I want to see my friends." Mike goes, "Oh, you mean like a real friend, like someone you met at school?" And this is where Abby brings up Chica, and I literally just watched the Fnaf movie, the first one, the other day, so I could be like up to date on that, like the lore of that film, everything going on with that movie. I don't remember Chica and her being like each other's favorites. Genuinely the only interaction I can think of that was like exclusive to Chica was when Chica was trying to put her in that one spring lock exoskeleton thing. So like, why is she your favorite, girl? She almost fucking murked your ass. Anyway, just weird little observation aside. And this is where, you know, Mike goes like, "Oh, why don't you try to hang out with some real friends your age?" Abby obviously gets upset with this because the animatronics are her friends. The ghost children are her friends, especially now that they're not being influenced in any way, shape, or form by the Yellow Rabbit. So this kind of creates a rift between the siblings for a little while. Abby starts watching this ghost hunting show, and Mike goes on to his date. So the date probably has one of like there are a few like banger jokes in the film, and this is for one of them. So anytime anyone makes crumbs or leaves crumbs on the table while they're eating, there's this one waiter who comes by and uses a little like X-Acto blade looking thing to like scoop the crumbs into his hand. It's so funny. It's so funny. But again, this is where we get a little bit more exposition between Vanessa and Mike and their relationship and what they've been up to. So Vanessa has been struggling ever since her father died, who again is obviously Matthew Lillard, Willie Mapton, and how she always feels like he's going to be a part of her, and she's trying to move on, especially after her injuries. She joined a rowing class, which is just like those extreme bicycle things. And Mike is very adamant about Vanessa trying Dream Theory because it worked for him. It's how he was able to find Garrett and get his closure. He truly believes that Vanessa's not going to have any closure in her life until she does something about it, and he thinks that Dream Theory will work, and he just says, just try it, basically. He's a little pushing the scene, and it's a little awkward, especially because Vanessa's like, I don't want to talk about this, and it's like, okay, Mike, at that point, you should have dropped it, but nevertheless, the date ends. Mike goes home, and I don't know how he missed this. So this is another like dumb kind of scene. So in their new house, their front door is made of glass, and on the inside of the door, Abby taped a note that said, "Going to Freddy's," or "Going to go see my friends." But Mike, now granted, he wouldn't be able to see the words from the side of the door that he entered on, right? But and I feel like this is a pretty big but. he would have seen the paper. So he like runs in, he's like, Abby, where are you? And it takes him so long to find the note. I'm like, dude, you there's no way you didn't see that there was something on the door. That should have been one of the first things you checked when you have a rebellious 11-year-old that you left alone, by the way. Kinda, I don't know. Is that crazy? Am I crazy? Maybe. I don't know. I guess if she was able to, well, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so the film then cuts over to the ghost hunters that Abby was watching, and they're going to the original location. This is the one where Charlotte died that has the toy animatronics. And I don't know how I feel about the scene, man. It's a little weird. So we get to meet Freddie Carter's character, who is Michael Afton. All right. So we have Vanessa now. Vanessa, who is the replacement of Elizabeth in many ways. Pretty much every way except being, dead. We have Michael Afton now. Later on in the film, we'll see a picture that does show another little brother. So, Evan Afton in the films, perhaps? Who knows? But, it's very clear from the get-go that Michael is evil. Following in his father's footsteps. I know that we're having a whole lore section, but it's weird seeing the protagonist of FNAF 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 security. I don't know why I keep wanting to call Sister Location Security Breach. Sister Location and FNAF 6 all of a sudden be portrayed as a villain. It's kind of weird. It kind of reminds me of like the 2 purple guys theory and the mic trap theory. I don't know. It kind of brought me back to that. Also, he's not purple. His skin is human toned, which is also kind of weird, but nevertheless, Mike leads them into this location, and there's 3 different ghost hunters. There's the cameraman, there's the one girl host, and then there's the guy who has like the clicky little radio looking thing that like picks up ghost energy by turning on lights. I don't know what any of that's called. They all split up, basically, and they get picked off one by one. One gets ripped limb from limb by Mangle. One gets drowned and possibly eaten by a bunch of tiny marionette dolls. But the coolest death, and the one that I will say is the first actually scary thing in this film, is the girl host. Let's see, is she on IMDb? Yes, McKenna Grace, who plays, let's see, Lisa. So Lisa actually hears the music box, and she goes down this this pathway that ends up into the gear mechanisms that the marionette was attached to. That's just underneath the trapdoor. Very foolishly, she turns off the music box. The puppet emerges and fucking possesses her. And the end result of seeing a human marionette hybrid, it's so uncanny valley. It actually did freak me out. Like the design of it's quite scary. I will say it is a shame that a lot of the movie does use that, because the practical puppet effect that they used, I really liked it. However, I will take having actual unnerving imagery over anything. I'm a horror fan. I've seen a lot of weird, creepy, fucked up things, and I don't know what it is about that, but, and like, I'm picturing it now in my head. It's probably, I don't know. It was just so unsettling. Every time that it showed up on the screen, it was so unsettling. So that's a big prop, in my opinion. The puppet possessing the host, Lisa, then chases Michael out of the building, and Michael goes, "Welcome home, Charlotte." So it's like, okay, he knows what's going on. He obviously wanted to revive her for some reason, so clearly he understands Remnant. He clearly understood what his father is doing. He still has money and connections to be able to do these things, blah, 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 blah. We then go over, and we're with Mike again. So or it's going to be Mike and Michael. So Michael will refer to Michael Afton, and Mike will refer to Mike Schmidt. I will try to make it as clear as possible. I apologize if I messed up. I wasn't thinking about that earlier. So, Mike Schmidt, he goes to the Fnaf 1 pizzeria, the one from the first film, and he sees Abby just super distraught, and she can't find the animatronics. And this is where, again, we have another genuine sibling moment that I find super, super sweet, where Josh Hutcherson, Mike, was like, I just didn't know what to tell you. I don't know where they are. Maybe they're in heaven. Maybe they're happy now. And to try and cheer her up, he's like, all right, you can get one thing you want from the entire pizzeria. You have 1 million tickets. And this has a joke that I literally burst out laughing. I was the only one in the theater who did. It was kind of embarrassing. But Mike picks up a Freddy plushie and he squeezes it, and it does the like meme whore noise. Oh my god, it was so funny. Again, just another absolute banger of a joke in this film. But Abby, she goes over to this Faz talkie machine, and if I understood the purpose of it, it was pretty much you would talk into it and there would be like preset speeches you could have with the animatronics or with another person who had one. So, that's kind of fun. That's what she wants to get because she wants to be able to talk to her friends again, and she thinks that this might be the way to do it. But she doesn't tell Mike that, obviously. Mike is just trying to be like, all right, let's get in and out. This is what you got with your 1 million tickets. They then have like a quick little reminiscing moment about her getting sick from eating orange slice candies. I don't know. Again, it's just goofy fun, and it's just another sweet moment that is just really fun to see. Now, we go over to Vanessa in one of her cycling classes, and she's having these PTSD-esque visions of the yellow rabbit attacking her. So much so that she runs out, and during a panic attack, she grabs her gun and almost shoots another person who is in the class. Now, for starters, if she's a cop still, she's absolutely off of the force. There's no way they're going to let that shit slide. Number two, was she ever a cop, or was that like a whole facade thing? I didn't really fully understand that. Nevertheless, whatever. That is the driving motivation that allows her to try Dream Theory. So she goes home, she puts a bunch of relics on a desk. She puts 4 little relics, one of which is actually Garrett's orange airplane, which I found interesting. I can't think of off the top of my head what the other relics were or what their relevance may be. So I would have to rewatch the film to be able to really go into that. But she closes all the blinds, she turns the static on the TV on, and she falls asleep. And this is like, again, where I would say this film is so different stylistically. There's about a 5 to 10 minute scene of this surreal, it's a dream. That's the best way I can describe it. It's a dream where like spatially, there's so many details that like don't make sense, but like are close enough leaps in logic that your brain could try to connect all these different pieces together. Plus there's like memory aspects of it. And I feel like there are a lot of things you could read into this, and, I'll talk over a couple of them, but the dream is of Vanessa. She's an adult woman, and she goes to the top of the stairs of her family home, and at the very end of the hallway is William Afton. And she goes, I'm not scared of you. You don't own me. I don't have to follow in your footsteps. And, Matthew Lillard has like an actual intimidating presence. All the doors in the house swing open and then they all close. And when they close, he's like right in front of her and he's saying things like, you were always my favorite. You're always mine. We're always going to do all these different things. And it's actually a pretty intense scene. Vanessa, she tries to run to escape through the front door and she can't. He teleports to the kitchen, which is right next to her, and he grabs a knife, and then she becomes her younger self again. And she runs back up the stairs, and she runs into his office, and she starts to hide. And, the entire time, William Afton is saying these things like, you were always my favorite, I always loved you, you're mine. And again, it's actually a pretty freaky little scene. And it's during this that, out of nowhere, we get to see some blueprints of of William Afton's blueprints for the animatronics. And then there's just a full-scale, completely made and active circus baby. It looked amazing. It was so cool to see. That doesn't make sense timeline-wise, because why would Vanessa, at the same age she is when Charlotte died, be looking at blueprints for the animatronics that are already made? Plus, what the fuck is Circus Baby doing there? I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. I feel like a potential plot hole, but it could be their own canon. They could make things work. The only thing that didn't make sense was the blueprints, unless those were the blueprints for the FNAF 1 animatronics. But I felt like that wasn't the implication, but, I could be wrong. You never know. So, Vanessa then runs out of the room. She's an adult again. She's in her police attire. She shoots her father off the banister. He falls. He breaks his neck. But even in this cursed, dead pose, where, by all rights he should be dead, he's still saying, all of his creepy little things. And Vanessa wakes up, and she is clearly uncomfortable. The dream theory thing did not work. So she drives over to Mike's. And she goes in, and she goes all the way into Abby's room, where her little walkie-talkie thing is talking to her. And Abby jumps out from behind the door, and she goes, the first rule of hide and seek is you always look behind the door. And they start talking, and this is where a couple of things start blending together, I guess. So Abby reveals that she talked to Freddy and Chica, who helped her make a brand new robot that she's going to put in the science fair. And Vanessa's like, how did you see Freddy and Chica? That's weird. Mike comes home with some breakfast, and Vanessa and Mike start talking. So, Vanessa's concerned about Abby, and so is Mike. And Mike kind of, interrupts. He's very, abrasive in this scene. And again, this is something I kind of like to see. It sucks seeing him be shitty to Vanessa, because he's very not understanding and unwilling to listen and compromise and stuff, allow her to grieve and her have her own concerns in the movie. But at the same time, he is very loving and caring for Abby, so I do kind of get it. But I could understand people thinking that yo, Mike's an asshole. That's actually something I heard in the theater during the film. But again, I just kind of want to throw that out there. But he's like, listen, I'm just trying to fix everything. I'm trying to fix my family. Vanessa, I'm trying to fix you. There was this flyer I saw on Freddy's where, I was able to talk to a victim who lost a child due to William Afton. And her name was Charlotte. And she was there with her best friend, Vanessa. Why didn't you tell me that there were other locations? Why didn't you tell me that your father had other victims? And Vanessa is really like, hold on, wait, you're trying to fix me? I don't need fixing, Mike. Worry on keeping your sister safe. And she runs off. And the two characters don't really interact for a while in the film. So it's kind of established at this point that the walkie-talkie that Abby has is something in the original Freddy's, the FNAF 2 location, is calling her there, and that's where she's able to reunite with all the toy animatronics, and, they do all their various things. But whose souls are possessing them? How did that happen? I don't know. So, it's at this point where Vanessa goes back to that location, and she's trying to calm Charlotte down. She's trying to put Charlotte back in the box. And this is where we get to see more of that creepy-ass imagery of human marionette. It's so fucking freaky, and I love it. They get into a little scuffle where we kind of learn the motivation behind the puppet. So, even though Charlotte is angry at William Afton because she died screaming, she died enraged that no one would help her, her spirit clung on to that, and that's the only emotion it can manifest, is rage, is hatred. And it's targeting that towards parents. because no adult would help her, therefore all adults are bad. So the puppet wants to break free of the location and just start murderizing a bunch of adults. And the puppet doesn't want to hurt Vanessa because Vanessa was its friend and it took care of her, but if Vanessa gets in her way, the puppet will do whatever it takes, and then the puppet attacks her. Boom. We now go over to it's Saturday, and Mike is bringing Abby to the school for the science fair. And she's going to use the animatronic that she built with the gang and turn it in anyway. She doesn't care about what Mr. Berg says. She's proud of what she made and she wants to participate. So Mike drops her off and he says he's got something he's got to do real quick. He'll help her set up. Afterwards, he promises that he'll be a part of the science fair. So Abby starts setting up her thing and Mr. Berg runs into her and he is just... It's like this uncomfortable level of like snide and just... He's just a schmuck, you know? I feel like that's a good like word to describe him. He's just a schmuck. He's like, hey, Abby, I thought I told you I didn't want you to... I thought we agreed that it would be best if you didn't enter anything. I don't know if there's even any table room. And, you know, Abby, being like the little sweetheart that she is, it's just like, well, there's a table right there. I can set up my spot right there. And I'm proud of what I made. Look at what I made. So Mr. Berg takes it from her, and then he accidentally throws it on the ground and just absolutely destroys it. And he goes, listen, I'll give you an A. You aced the whole class. Just go home. Just go home. And she's obviously really upset. And Abby, still at this point, she has like one friend, but obviously her like true friends, or who she relates to the closest, are the animatronics. And she doesn't know where Mike is right now. Her and Vanessa apparently aren't on speaking terms either because of their situation with Mike. So she runs all the way to the old Freddy's location. And then at the old Freddy's location, Toy Chica is like, hey, why don't you bring me to the science fair? I'll be your science fair project. And Abby's like, yeah, I would love to. That's an awesome, amazing idea. But Chica goes, well, I need you to do something first. You need to go to the computer and turn off the wall security code so me, Freddy, Bonnie, and the others can leave. So, you know, Abby waddles her way to the security office, which is, as far as I can tell, pretty much an exact replica of the FNAF 2 office, which is really cool to see. And this is where, through like a camera monitor view, we see that Vanessa is bound and being strangled by the puppet. And the puppet is like, hey, listen, Vanessa, you tell me the code, or I'm going to have Chica kill Abby. Because the puppet is actually the one who is able to control all of the toy animatronics via radio waves, because the puppet is apparently canonically the conductor of the group, and she is the one who's able to do everything with the animatronics. So Vanessa, not wanting Abby to get hurt, eventually tells the code, Abby punches it in, and now all the toy animatronics are able to be set free. So they're like, all right, well, how are we going to get to the science fair? And Abby goes, well, I only brought my bike, so I don't know how we're going to fit all of you guys on it. This is where Corey Kenshin has yet another cameo as his cab driver character. He gets mad at seeing Abby again. He's like, little girl, you got to get out of here. Chica shows up without her beak in her eyes for some reason. I mean, I understand, you know, it's funny for the scene, for him to be scared. Because he would probably, Corey at this point would like expect to see a big metal animatronic, so having a scary big metal animatronic would kind of like up the ante a little bit, I suppose. But I don't know, it was just like Abby's like, hey Chica, you dropped your beak, and that's kind of that. I don't know, it felt it felt a little awkward. Now we're back with Mike. So Mike is actually at Henry, assumedly Emily's house. And he kind of fills Mike in about how Freddy's covered up the murders of the children. He had his theories of who did it. He believes that it was William Afton. He lost his daughter. He wasn't the best father, but, you know, all these various things. And through all of this, Mike gets the suspicion that Abby wasn't going to the original location from the first film. She was actually going to this location where Charlotte was murdered. So he gets in his car, but before he does, Henry hands him a music box that he made. And he's like, hey, I know this may sound weird and it may mean nothing at all to you, but when Charlotte was a baby, I made her this music box. And when the music played, she would always fall asleep. Would you, if you do go to that location, just leave it there for her? Like a sentimental thing for him. Mike agrees and he goes off. Thank God that he did. That'll come very in clutch later on. So we're now at the original Freddy's, the FNAF 2 location, and Mike has to break in, and he actually breaks into the parts and service room. And they kept this canonical, which I found weird. So you know how Mike at the start of the film was saying, like, hey, the animatronics are broken, you know, like one day I'll fix them. The Wizards are actually in this movie. I don't understand why that wasn't just the actual thing. Like, I know canonically the Wizards came before the toys because they were prototypes and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, could you not have just tweaked the designs a little bit and worked it in that way? I don't know. That might just be a nitpick from me, but we get to see all the Wizards. They look amazing. Again, the effects in this film are just fucking stellar, dude. And Mike makes his way through the building. He hears banging on a cabinet. He opens the door. And it's Vanessa. He frees Vanessa. Vanessa kind of gives him all the info that I've pretty much explained to you guys so far about why the puppet is doing what they're doing, who the puppet is, blah, 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 blah. They get attacked by Balloon Boy for some reason. I don't know. I didn't fully understand why Balloon Boy was a threat. Kind of odd. And they end up running to the security office. And this is where making the movies more like the game kind of shit the bed. There are so many sequences from this moment on that are just fucking dumb. So get this, okay? There is a computer in the office that they have to hack for some reason, even though it's like more rudimentary than any form of Windows that has ever existed. I don't know. It's weird. It's I don't know. But they're able to find the animatronics because of a tracking device that they have. Now, why would animatronics need tracking devices, let alone GPS tracking devices that are so precise that they can tell you the actual, like, street address of where they're at? That's so dumb. Number two, the animatronics lose their power if they leave the building. That's what the firewall protocol was. So, why would you need that strong of GPS for animatronics that don't leave the building? What? Is it in case they got stolen? How the hell is someone going to steal that thing? I don't know. It's just, it was weird. But basically, excuse me. Vanessa is like, I think that Abby's in danger. I believe that the puppet is going to try to possess her next, and when she does, we just can't let that happen. So Mike is like, all right, I need you to go find all the toy animatronics. I need you to go find Abby. I need you to make sure that everyone is okay. I will find a way from here to turn off the firewall, or turn back on the firewall protocol. So for whatever reason, Mike is the one who stays, and I get like, oh yeah, Mike was the night guard. Oh, Mike was the night guard. But, dude, you don't know how the computer works, and Vanessa clearly does. Why don't you let Vanessa do that? Even though, again, it's super rudimentary technology. It's way more difficult for him to figure this shit out than it should reasonably be, but whatever. Let Vanessa do the thing that she knows how to do. You go to where you think Abby could be. Now, I know he called the school. There's a joke, like, you know how in the first film, he gets the sleeping pills and he just yanks them away and then the pharmacist calls him an asshole? There's a bit like that. That's the exact same in this one. But instead, he calls the school and the school says that they let Abby go home. He hangs up and then the receptionist calls him an asshole. So yeah, granted, you might not know that she's at the school. You can still check the school. You could check the original Freddy's. You could check your house. You could check the surrounding areas. There were things. I feel like Mike should have been the one to do this, but I get it. He's the night guard. Having him do the night guard things is fun. Having him work on a monitor, have him check the door lights, use a flashlight, wear the Freddy mask, it's fun. So Mike starts hacking, and by hacking, I mean he just types on keys for no reason. You know, just that movie effect sort of suspension of disbelief sort of stuff. And Chica, who is now at the school at Abby's science fair, sees that someone is trying to remotely deactivate them. So she turns on the withered animatronics, and the withered animatronics are the worst threat in the entire film. They stand around and do nothing. Like, there's a scene, right, where Foxy knows that Mike is wearing a mask, and for like 30 to 40 seconds does not attack him. Mike doesn't run. Mike doesn't do anything. He just goes, oh crap, I need to turn off the firewall. Basically, it's just a bunch of close-ups of both of their faces. That's dumb as hell, man. That's dumb as hell. That's what happens when you show what would actually happen in a Five Nights at Freddy's game. When you show a game mechanic in real life, it looks dumb as hell. It was so dumb. I don't know. It was, there are so many moments like that where there's people just standing around. I'm like, well, that's what would happen in the video game. We got what we asked for. It didn't turn out that great in my opinion, but you know, it's there. But during all of this, the toy animatronics are causing havoc around town. Chica ends up killing Mr. Berg. Toy Bonnie, who is voiced by Matt Pat. Also, Matt Pat, if you ever see this, why didn't you do your actual voice, Matt Pat? You know how funny it would have been if in the FNAF movie universe there were two people who had the same voice? The headcanon of that could have been that Matt Pat, who canonically is a server at the roadside diner Sparky's, could have needed money in college, so he did a gig doing voice work for Toy Bonnie or something. I don't know. It would have been funny. But yeah, Matt Pat breaks into this house, and he's trying to make friends with the little girl there, and then goes to go kill her mom. Freddy gets to walk through FazFest on his way to, like, quote, crush the skulls of some sinners. I don't know. He says some shit that would, like, go hard on a shirt. Mangle actually fights Vanessa on the top of her car. And during all these shenanigans, no one actually ends up dying, because Mike is able to deactivate the toy animatronics in time. So, potentially a little, you know, James A. Janice might be a little sad. The kill count might be a little small, but we still got some tension. And also a couple of funny interactions, because we get to see the GOAT, Doug. Doug does return in the film, and he has a banger joke. I love Doug. Matthew A. Sullivan, I believe is his name. Hold on, where's Doug at? I know I haven't really taken the time to look for characters who aren't on the IMDb page. Michael P. Sullivan. God, he is just the life and soul and like blood of this movie franchise. God, I love him. But yeah, he has a cameo. It's great. And so all the toy animatronics are deactivated. You know, you think that like everything's gonna be okay, but this is where Toy Chica brings Abby home from the science fair. And the puppet is actually shown to be inside of the Chica suit, which is also a spring-locked suit for some fucking reason. And the puppet jumps out and actually possesses Abby. What? So Vanessa makes it to Mike's house first. And they have a scuffle between marionette-possessed Abby, who looks fucking... It's so creepy, dude. Again, like, oh, it's so creepy. It's so creepy. They have a little scuffle that ends up with Mike showing up with the music box that Henry made. And I got so confused during the scene, I didn't really know what happened. So, the puppet leaves Abby. And Mike goes to console her and whatever. But then all of a sudden, all the toy animatronics are at the house. And Michael Afton shows up and he's like, this is a part of my plan. I came here to reunite with my sister. Dad loved you. he owned us. We were always his. Why don't you rejoin your family and all this other shit? And Mike is just like, you had a brother who knew about this. Like, what the hell's going on? He's trying to protect Abby from the toys. And Vanessa's like, I'm not like you guys anymore. I'm not like that. I have a new life. So Michael Afton just goes, all right, animatronics, break their bones. And, you know, like, they're all trying to, like, protect one another. They're just hugging. They're like, everything's gonna be okay, blah, 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 blah. And then this is where something that it was such cool, it's so cool in concept, but, like, so ass in execution. The original animatronics for the first film show up, and they kill all the toy animatronics. But they all do, like, one attack. It would have been really cool if it was, like, one of those, like, really weird SFM, like, battle fights that are usually trending. Like, there's one where, like, Golden Freddy versus whoever, or the Wizards versus... I know someone out there knows exactly what I'm talking about. It has that one song where it's, like... I don't even know how to sing it. But, basically, they show up, they save the day. Michael Afton runs away. He gets knocked out. And the animatronics, all the toys are destroyed. And the original animatronic from the first film, the souls of the children are leaving. They're going to the afterlife. And during this time, one of the children looks at Mike. He goes, hey, I just need to let you know, now that I'm leaving, I'm not going to be able to restrain him anymore. He's going to come back, and he's going to come back powerful one day. You need to be ready. Then they all disappear, obviously referring to Springtrap. And the film ends with Mike and Abby leaving with the coworker friend from the start or whatever. Mike going, listen, Vanessa, stay away from us. Like, I think you've done enough damage. As they go into the front yard, Michael Afton has fled the scene. He is gone. We don't know where he went. And then it's Vanessa. She's standing in the doorway, and she looks all sad. And then out of fucking nowhere, the puppet just goes straight up at her badussy, and she gets possessed? Fucking what? So we're ending the movie. We're ending the movie with the implication of Springtrap, because Springtrap is actually shown in the post-credit scene. It's a mid-credit scene, but nevertheless. We're left on Springtrap. The puppet, who I thought was back asleep because Michael played the music box, but apparently not, possessing Vanessa. We have Circus Baby, who is canon, and assumedly possessed, maybe by Vanessa. We have Michael Afton, who has escaped somewhere. He's just on the loose. We have another Afton sibling, probably Evan. And if Circus Baby exists, that means we have Funtime Freddy, we have Ballora. I mean, Funtime Foxy and Mangle are technically like the same character, but you know what I mean. There's a lot to digest. And I don't know. I have no damn idea what they're gonna do. This does definitely feel like The Conjuring. This feels like what The Conjuring wanted to do, but better. Because I've said this many times. The Conjuring movies suck, by the way. Just throwing that out there. All of them. Or at least all the ones I've seen. But they are horror movies that want to be Avengers movies instead. And they do, like, not the best approach to world building and all this other stuff. And I kind of feel like that's what this movie did at the very end. It set up so many potential sequels, maybe even spin-off stories. Like, I just don't know. But there's a lot of stuff for people to theorize about, for us to sit on, think about. There's a lot. But yeah, that was pretty much the entire movie recap. I wonder if I was more or less accurate than I was in the original one. I need to go back and listen to the original movie review I did, and obviously I'll have to release it to this in editing. Also, did anyone notice that I tried to replicate my thumbnail style that I did? You know, having William Afton in the middle with him leaning to his right, and then I don't know, I think my thumbnail looks bussin'. But yeah. Alright, so my opinions on the movie. I am so split down the middle. I'm going to be completely honest with each and every single one of you. I don't know how I feel. Because it does feel so different from its predecessor. Again, like, yes, it does still have the humor, and obviously it's keeping the continuity, but there were so many things, like the clunkiness of trying to make it more like the games. There were like just a lot of weird, potentially plot holes or just odd details that felt much more like the Steel Wool era of FNAF, where things are just like there just to kind of be there. I mean, it was definitely a lot scarier, but there are those super stereotypical scenes where it's just like, oh, well, this is the 10 minutes where the plot stops so these people can die. Or obviously, you know that this scene someone's going to die or not die. And there's a lot of fun character interactions. We get to see how these characters have evolved. But there again, I don't know. It's, I do believe I like it less than the original. Now, don't let that dissuade you. I still really enjoyed the movie. You know, I've realized now, I'm reflecting because I'm doing this all in one take. I've been recording for an hour and 2 minutes, and I'm just going to cut out the in between where I've been changing the YouTube song I've been listening to. I'm so high budget here, by the way, fellas. I completely lost my train of thought. What the hell was I talking about? Shit, I should have gone on to phone a random diatribe. Oh yeah, I do remember. I hope I'm not coming across as negative, because I don't want to come across as negative. When I'm saying the things that I am saying, like saying things that don't make sense, I'm not trying to be like, oh, this movie is bad. I'm pointing these things out because I want something that I love to be better. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with pointing out things that you thought were weak or things that you don't like, because I did like the movie. I had such a fun time watching this. It's just, I feel like part of it was, or at least part of why I'm feeling the way that I am, is I was expecting something that I did not get, which I actually feel like why during the spoiler-free review of this, I prefaced that, and I feel like that needs to be very clear. This is a very different movie. It has surrealism. It has more horror sequences. It has, you know, it still flows pretty well, but it doesn't have like that, like any montage scenes really. But at the same time, it suffers because, like, I don't know, like, why couldn't we have had an all-out animatronic fight? That would have been cool as fuck, you know? Or why couldn't the withered animatronics have been more of an actual threat? We actually got to see them. We got to see game mechanics, and it was lame. It wasn't lame to see, but the execution of it was. Like, genuinely, when you watch the film, or if you have seen it, I would love for someone in the comments to time the amount of time it takes Foxy from the time he gets in the security office to the time he deactivates. It has to be 30 to 40 seconds. And, like, Mike goes, oh no, the mask doesn't seem to be working. I guess I better get the firewall down. He's clicking on the keyboard for no reason, which, again, the UI of it should not have been that difficult to figure out. There were a lot of attempts, and I gotta give it credit where credit's due. They had way more animatronics for this. This is a way more ambitious film. They had more sets. I don't know if they were able to reuse the sets that they used from the first one, but there's a school set. There's obviously 2 Freddy's locations. They have to make things look new and old and decrepit. They have to have all these different things. So I get it, and the story is also a bit weird. Again, I kind of hate what they did with Michael Afton. It's weird, and he just felt like a supervillain, if that makes sense. Where, like, he unironically fucking monologues. Like, I thought we got rid of that after 2004 with The Incredibles. Like, am I wrong? I don't know, but it was weird, and I just didn't really jive with what he was doing. He felt, it was so weird. Like, why? How did he know about Charlotte? And then during the finale, when Charlotte left, how was he there? And then how is all of a sudden he in control of the animatronics? I mean, I might have missed something, and please tell me in the comments if I did. But I don't know. It felt just super convenient for the sake of being convenient and the sake of having a new big bad to replace Afton, even though Springtrap is right fucking there. So, you know, we're just going to have Springtrap in the next one, you know? I don't know. It certainly is strange. But yeah, I do definitely think overall, I liked this film slightly less. I would still recommend it. I would encourage, again, any FNAF fan to see it. Please just go into it with in mind this is a very different film. And maybe you'll like it more. You know, that's very possible. It does have a lot of great moments. It does have a lot of things to like. The character interactions, like, Mike is more of a character in this one. Because, you know, in the first one, he's just more of, like... I mean, he's our main protagonist, but, like, let's be real. He doesn't really emote at all in that entire movie. He's sleep-deprived. We actually get to see him have some feeling in this one. The jokes are still extremely solid. My favorite definitely being the squeezing the bear's tummy and it doing the horror. It absolutely killed me, but plenty of funny jokes. Again, there's so many things that fans are going to notice. Like, the one thing I noticed is during the opening scene, Pop Goes and Candies have arcades machines. That's cool as hell. So I do still love it, and this section purely exists just so I can say, hey, I did like the film. If I came across as too negative, my fault. All right, so lore. I don't even know. When I planned that I was going to do this, I was going to talk about lore implications, but I kind of think they're just doing their own thing, you know? So we're just going to go ahead and go to the ending and wrap this whole bad boy up. This is significantly shorter than my first FNAF review, I believe. I'll have to go give that a real listen. I wonder how good that sounds. I don't even know if I had my good microphone back then. Hopefully it holds up. And hey, if you haven't seen that, shameless plug, go check that one out. But that is going to be all for this time, guys. Let me know, what did you think about the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was better or worse than its predecessor? What did you like about it? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. But that is going to be all for this time, guys. I've been the SweetBro27. I'm a variety Twitch streamer and an up-and-coming PNG YouTuber trying to make it big in the world. I have a Twitter, a Twitch, and a Twitter, the links to which can all be found in the description of this video. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, share me around, and leave me a comment. Positive, negative, or indifferent. I would love just any sort of interaction I can get from y'all. But that's going to be all for now. So, as always, I've been the SweetBro27, and I am signing off.